今天这期周周聊海外，我想带你认识一位英国红酒家族企业的创始人 Peter。他没有门店，没有团队，只通过第三方合作和轻资产模式，就把一个传统行业做成了每月20万英镑利润的生意。更重要的是，这并不是运气，也不是偶然，而是一套非常清晰、可复制的商业逻辑。如果你正在思考如何用更轻的结构做更稳的生意，那这一期你一定要看到最后。Welcome, Peter.
Thank you, Jojo. Very nice to be here.
Yeah. So, guys, we're curious. I'm going to ask you the first question is, what is the revenues for this month, Peter, for your wine?
December is always good, and it's around 200,000 of profit sterling. Yes.
Profit, 200,000.
We have high-profile events with lots of clients entertaining their guests with very, very fine wine. So it doesn't take long to get to that sort of number.
Oh wow! Okay, listen to that. And then you don't have a shop.
No, almost everybody comes to me because they've tried something and say, where can I buy this wine?
Yes, yeah.
So I have online a little wine shop and people can find things there.
Yeah.
But most of the time, they're asking me direct, I need something, what is the best that I can get?
Wow! I like this kind of a business model. Let's dive in. Okay, so 200 grand, two profits. We talk about profits for a month, and then you don't having a shop like a on the streets, on the high streets. So as a traditional way. So yours is a very innovative way of running a wine business. So tell us more about your family business, and then why, how you make this happen, 200,000 grand profits a month.
Yes, it's interesting. It began that I was supplying the hotel and restaurant world with fine wines, and that developed sort of by accident with a company coming to me and saying, we have a very successful time, we want to entertain our guests, and we want to have Domaine de la Romilly Conti and Chateau Yquem, and we begin with Krug, all of the top wines. And the question is, where should we do it? So we chose a restaurant in Covent Garden, which is not there now, but it was called Neal Street Restaurant, Antonio Caluccio. And it was a fantastic place. And two of the guests who came to this dinner said, that was great fun. Can you do one for us as well? So that's why it's high budget, high margin, because we're very often serving incredibly fine wines, which are expensive. But what we do, which is different to everybody else, is that we buy those wines through the trade, and we don't pay the restaurant markup. What we do is we pay the restaurant corkage. So you
What does that mean?
Well, it means you can buy a wine, for example, it is £500 for one bottle. In the restaurant, if they have it, you would pay 2,000. But if you agree with the restaurant a policy where we pay 500 and give the restaurant, it could be, in Mosselmans, it's about £60. Even so, from 500 to 560 is much, much better than 500 to 2,000.
To 2,000, yeah.
So you can drink amazing wine without paying the restaurant market. Exactly. Oh. So that was the principle behind it. So how do you get them to come to your dinner, or your celebration, instead of somebody else's? Well, you can use names like Chateau Lafite or Chateau Latour. You can use ideas of the Bienvenue Bâtard Montrachet from the Domaine Le Fleuve, and they look at their invitation and say, these people are being generous. I think I will go to that one.
So you're using the wine, the fine wine, to attract them to come to the event.
So one side is using the fine wine. The other side is saying to them, we never use the word tasting. Tasting suggests that somebody's going to say to you, look, this is what it smells like, tastes like.
I think that's a tasting all the time. Well, it's boring for me.
It's very boring because not everybody understands all the silly words that they use. What we do is tell you the story about where the wine comes from, why it is what it is, how it got to this age and continues to develop. And use that as a sharing way of demonstrating that we're drinking wine, not tasting wine.
So basically you started to
educated the people like about this wine. For example, you're going to telling this wine stories of where it's made, and the story first, and then you serve to the customer to taste it.
Yes, they
so
can
it's
try it, yes.
rather than vice versa. Like in the wine tasting events, I always going to St. James. It's like a boom, and then so you're tasting, and then you're describing what different tastes of it in your.
You know, everyone's taste buds are different and everyone's preference is different. So once we've got the most important people in the world, your most valued customers, to say yes to your invitation, the best thing is to make sure they go home knowing that you shared stories with them and they always had to make their own decision, not somebody else's. And my example is we give them 2 glasses at the same time. Only they can decide which one they prefer. And it's a really strong way of emphasizing there isn't a right or wrong in wine.
But you wasted 1 glass of a fine
No,
wine.
they can. It's the other glass. They probably find a way of drinking it as well, because both of them are delicious. But one has to be a favorite. But it's a very inclusive way. We call it sophisticated but unpretentious. And the most important thing is to share stories so people feel that they've learned something, but not because it's a lecture, but because it's a really gentle, involved, sort of sympathetic way of sharing stories about a subject most people would love to know more about. But it's a big subject. When wine was really flying into China, but not everybody was told that when a beautiful wine is very young, it can be very bitter, very acidic, very tannic, really gripping your mouth, which is maybe why there are stories about people adding things to their wine.
Adding Sprit, Coca-Cola.
A Coca-Cola, whatever it might be. But it's understandable because that made it taste better than when it was too strong. If instead of that the education had been, listen, if you wait for 20 years, then this wine will be soft and fantastic and delicious, and then you will really, really like it. But the problem is that somebody is buying a Hermes tie or Louis Vuitton handbag, they can use it straight away. Nobody has said in wine, you can't use it straight away, you have to wait. They didn't buy it to wait, they bought it to drink. And this was where I think education is so important. Sharing those stories about why it's not wrong to make something taste the way you want it. But if you spent a little bit more money, then you get the older vintage and then it tastes exactly how it should be.
So I have a question to ask you about Chinese wine. Chinese people, like for this business. I mean, what is your view for Chinese people tasting wines? Or investors?
I have hosted a lot of occasions.
Be honest, okay?
Yeah, no,
Good
but I've
and
hosted
bad.
many occasions in China. So first thing I would say, they will never answer a question of which wine they prefer because they don't want to lose face. It's important not to get it wrong. I understand that, so we never ask that question. But I explain why the wines are different and then they can choose quietly in their own way what they prefer. But they are becoming more aware of the big brand names. Obviously, Chateau Lafite has gone a long way. But more interesting for me is the wine grown in China with a collaboration between the Rothschild family, the Great Wall of China Wine Company. They are making some proper wines which are growing in popularity and in quality. So I think that there's a lot of scope to work both with investment in China, of sometimes Chinese wines, maybe, but more importantly with the people who very often have the budget and the inclination to learn more about the subject. But they want to hear it from somebody who they can trust, and that is the most important part of this
true.
thing.
Yeah, we're all like in a group.
Yes.
Yeah, we all trust the in a
and
group.
you don't want the salesman, and you don't want the big brand who are charging you too much. You want somebody who can show you.
You trust it and then tell the real story and the value and the investments, like insight as well. How do you feel when you see the way that Chinese people drinking wines? They're drinking a bottle of wines, like a few bottles, and then so they do the bottom up one. How did you feel like that when you watch it?
Well, listen, the short answer is that I played a lot of rugby, and rugby in England is a culture of drinking in exactly the same way, so I have no problem at all. I do understand, though, that, and I use this expression often in tastings, that route one, which is the front of the mouth to the back of the mouth without stopping, is a great way to drink wine. It is not a great way to taste wine. So to taste wine, you have to stop halfway and leave the wine there. And that's when the flavors of the wine start to make sense. So I have no problem with anybody's habits of how they drink, but tasting wine and appreciating it, sometimes you need to be a bit slower.
That's a good way. Yeah. So now is so drinking wine is from the tongue, from the front to the bottom, drinking, right?
Yes, yeah.
And tasting is you pause in the middle, and then you let all the arrow.
And we use the expression to make the throat feel jealous, because he wants to
Do you want to see
get the wine. feel jealous because I'm having fun in the middle.
Right. So that's a good way to describing like a drinking proper way.
Yes,
Right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah. So what to say about your profit then?
Yeah, profit, I mean, obviously it fluctuates and it's very
Is
seasonal.
that not to say?
Yeah, there's a lot to say, but it is seasonal. We accept that, and we realise that July and August of the years, each year is not so profitable. Everyone is on a holiday. Even January, some people don't drink alcohol.
Dry month.
Dry January, terrible idea. But some people do this. So it's very seasonal, and we work with what we're given.
So this is not to say, then let me guess, a 50% for this month margin?
Yeah, margin, yes, it is.
Higher
yes,
than that?
No,
Wow.
no, not higher. No, it's about right.
Yeah, I mean, because you having a bespoke service like for corporate clients, and then you have a small team. You don't have a shop. You only pay the third parties like to storage. So the profit
So
going
it
to be
makes it-
over
exactly.
50%. Smart guy,
yeah.
Peter.
Well,
Thank you
try.
so much for today, for sharing all your secrets for making 200,000 a month. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you.